Right, just to set the scene, this is another little story that we can tell you. Victorian house in Chichester, heavily cement rendered, probably had just about everything done to it that shouldn't be done to it, and again very simple things that are causing massive problems. And out here we've got Soot the damp dog. She'd already spotted the problem. If we look here, I don't know if you can see, but way down in this hole is a grill, and it's completely blocked up in that one, and there isn't even one there. Those, ladies and gents, are the air vents, and that is ventilating the subfloor to the house. And what that tells us is that this ground level here has been built up by probably at least a foot higher than it should be. We've also got a drain pipe here discharging onto the ground, and if we look round the other corner, we've got a drain pipe bubbling out about there, and down there obviously completely blocked. So this corner of the building is suffering major damp problems. Now if we go inside, I'll show you what the damp companies reckon is rising damp, and what we know is a problem caused quite simply by those high ground levels. And if you look, you can see that the skirting board is completely rotten. Here we've got wet rot, possibly beginning of dry rot, and I've just taken the thermohygrometer probe out. I had it stuck down this hole here, and under the floor in this area, the humidity reading, the actual total moisture content of the air under these floorboards, is just on 100%. So it's absolutely chronic. And to give you a little bit more background, this has already been done by the damp companies, and they reckon there's chronic rising damp everywhere here. Well, guess what, folks? We've got a chimney. So we've got the old classic problem of salts in a chimney, derived from the smoke and acid reaction with the lime mortar in the chimney. Salts migrate down to the bottom of the chimney, so there's always a high concentration of salts at the bottom, which are conductive. And guess what? Mr. Dampman's been in and told us we've got rising damp in here, and look where he put his pin prong meter. There's his probe holes. That tells us we've got rising damp apparently. So he knows these tricks. He's very good at doing it. We're doing the same thing at this end. We've actually drilled some holes in the floor, and we're about to insert a probe, thermohygrometer probe, and we'll just let it kick off here. It's actually quite humid in this house. It's 80-odd%. It's in the process of dropping because we had this probe underneath the floor at the other end. But let's just shove it in here. That's the subfloor, and I'm just going to leave that there. And you can see it's doing a bit of kicking already. It's going up, and the reason it's going up, there you go, ground levels. And if we come outside, what have we got? A floor vent blocked completely with coal. God only knows why. There isn't one here. There's the original ground level. That's a much older gully, very old, probably Victorian gully. It's about a foot down from the present ground surface. So we've got a blocked air vent there that we've just opened up. We scraped all that coal out of the hole, so there's no ventilation in here at all. And we get back in, if I can get in the house, and have a look at our... There we go. It's already at 85 and still climbing. So these subfloors are sopping wet, and you haven't got a chance. These floors need to come up and be sorted out. But the cause of it, as you saw right at the beginning, is the high ground level. And one other thing I'm going to show you, we know we've got cement render on the outside. The damp man didn't actually manage to tell us what was going on here, but if you notice there's a bit of a patch on the wall there, and if I use a thermal imaging camera you can actually see a slightly darker patch on the wall. You see these dark colours, and if I outline on the wall you might just be able to see the probe there. There's a little laser pointer going round that pattern, and if we look at that pattern on the thermal imaging camera you can see there's a dark spot, and that dark spot there, that dark area, those purple colours that you can see there, corresponds with a cold spot, quite obviously, and that cold spot is moisture in the wall. So moisture in the wall coming from cracks in the cement render outside. So there you go, there's a whole bunch of problems that we've seen, 90% of which are due to people raising the ground level, and this is one of the big causes of problems in old houses where you've got ventilation to the subfloor, and in this case there's virtually nothing left of the subfloor because somebody's blocked all the vents up. And this is what we're seeing: rotting timbers, very high moisture contents. And if we go back to the other end of the house and we have a look at all our instruments, there we go, it's still climbing 88.2 and it's still going up. So 88.3, it takes about 15 minutes for a thermohygrometer probe to settle, so it does take a while. But there you go, and all of this wasn't even diagnosed by the RICS surveyor that did this. He hadn't got a clue what was going on. Most RICS surveyors have not got a clue. They do a home buyer survey. He didn't even find that rotted skirting board on there, didn't even know what he was talking about. And if you look, again, the rising damp man, there you go. There's these ping pong holes. In fact, there's two lots of ping pong holes. There's one there and there's one there. And those are the holes that they use with their silly little conductivity meters to tell us that we've got rising damp. No, we haven't. We've got a damp floor and probably a damp wall, because there's cement render on the outside, there's gypsum plaster on the inside trapping moisture, but the main thing is the air vents are all blocked up and we've got chronic moisture under the floors which is transmitting into the walls. All we've got to do is get the subfloor ventilation working properly. So there you go, folks, another brilliant diagnosis, and one of these things that's, it's not that expensive, it's just people doing the wrong things. It's really quite easy to solve these problems. They're not expensive, they're not complicated, and none of them involve damp proofing, injection chemicals, toxic chemicals, slurries on walls, property care association, none of this stuff. All it is just common sense, just getting air to the building and letting the building breathe. Every single little thing in here is just all about getting the building breathing. So there we are, we'll update you in a bit, but there's a bit more to chew on. See you in for a bit.